The 15th of the month hits, and you check your bank account. There's $47 left until payday. You have a full-time job. You're not going out every weekend. You're not making obviously stupid decisions with money. And yet, every single month, you end up in the same place, counting days until the next paycheck, just so you can start the cycle over again. If that's your life right now, this video is going to change that. Because the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle is not a money problem, it's a system problem. And systems can be fixed. Here's what we're going to cover. First, why the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle is harder to escape than it looks, and why willpower alone will never fix it. Second, the 5 specific steps to break out of it permanently, starting this month. Third, what to do when an unexpected expense blows up your progress, because it will happen, and having a plan for it is the difference between a setback and a reset. We've talked about why you're always broke in a previous video, and we covered the 50-30-20 budget in the last one. This video is the bridge. It's the step-by-step process of actually moving from where you are now to a place where your bank account has a buffer and payday doesn't feel like a rescue mission. Let's get into it. Here's the thing. Most financial advice gets wrong. They treat paycheck-to-paycheck living like it's a discipline problem. Just spend less. Just save more. Just stop eating out. But if it were that simple, you'd have done it already. The real reason the cycle is so hard to break is that it's self-reinforcing. When you have no buffer in your account, every unexpected expense, a car repair, a medical bill, a broken phone, goes straight onto a credit card. That credit card payment becomes a new fixed expense next month, which leaves you with even less breathing room, which means the next unexpected expense also goes on the card, and the balance grows, and the minimum payment grows, and the cycle tightens. It's not a spending problem, it's a buffer problem. You have zero margin for life to happen, and life always happens. The solution isn't willpower, it's building a small buffer, even $500, that absorbs those hits without touching your credit card. That one change breaks the cycle at its root. Everything else we're covering today builds toward that. You cannot fix what you can't see. So step 1 is pulling up your last 60 days of bank and credit card transactions and getting honest about what's actually happening. Not what you think is happening, what's actually happening. Most people living paycheck to paycheck have a leak, one category that's significantly higher than they'd guess if asked. For some people, it's food. Groceries plus DoorDash plus lunches out adds up to $900 a month without feeling like much day-to-day. For others, it's subscriptions. We covered this in video 1. For others, it's convenience spending. Last-minute everything, because there's no time to plan when you're financially stressed. Go through your transactions and add up each category manually. Food total, transport total, entertainment total, subscriptions total, just totals. You're not judging yet, just looking. Once you have your totals, step 2 is comparing them to your 50, 30, 20 numbers from the last video. Which category is running over? That's your leak. That's where you focus first. Not everywhere at once, just the one biggest leak. Trying to fix everything at the same time is exactly why most budgets fail within 2 weeks. Pick one, fix one, move on. Before you pay off debt, before you invest, before you do anything else, you need $500 sitting in a separate savings account that you do not touch. This is not your emergency fund. That comes later. This is your buffer, your breathing room. The thing that means the next unexpected $300 expense doesn't go on a credit card and restart the cycle. $500 sounds small, but for someone living paycheck to paycheck, it is genuinely life-changing because it breaks the debt accumulation loop we talked about at the start. Here's how to get there fast. Go back to that one leak you identified, the category running over. Cut it in half for 60 days only, not forever, just 2 months. Take that saved amount and move it to a separate account the moment it would have been spent. If your food spend is $800 and it should be $500, that's $300 a month. In 2 months, you have your $500 buffer plus a little extra. You have officially broken the cycle's entry point. After 60 days, you can loosen up slightly, but by then, the buffer exists. The habit is forming, and you'll feel the difference in your stress levels enough to want to keep going. Here's where most people fall off. They cut spending, they save a little, they feel good, and then one decent month convinces them the problem is solved. They stop being careful, the buffer gets spent, and 2 months later, they're back at $47 on the 15th. The fix is automation. Once you have your $500 buffer, you set up a recurring automatic transfer, even $50 or $75 a month, that keeps building it toward a real emergency fund of 1 month's expenses. Why automation? Because a transfer you set once and forget is infinitely more reliable than a decision you have to make every month. Decisions are vulnerable to a bad week, a stressful Tuesday, a good reason to spend the money on something else. Automation doesn't care about any of that. Set it to transfer the day after payday, not the day of wait 1 day so the deposit has fully cleared. The amount should feel slightly uncomfortable, but not impossible. If $75 feels okay, do $100. If $50 feels like a stretch, do $50 and increase it by $25 every 2 months. The number matters less than the consistency. A small transfer that happens every single month builds more wealth than a large transfer that happens whenever you remember. At some point, your car will need a repair, or you'll get a medical bill, or something will break and it'll cost $400 you didn't plan for, and your first instinct will be to pull from your buffer. That's what it's there for. Use it. That's not failure. That's the system working exactly as designed. But here's what most people get wrong after that happens. They treat it as a setback and go back to old habits instead of simply rebuilding. The protocol when your buffer takes a hit is simple. The next month, temporarily pause any extra spending until the buffer is back at $500, then resume normal. That's it. 1 month of rebuild, then back to the plan. What you never do is go back to the credit card. The buffer exists specifically, so that option is off the table. Even if rebuilding takes 2 months, you are still ahead of where you were before, because at least you're not adding to your debt balance while you recover. Over time, this muscle gets stronger. The buffer grows. The unexpected expenses get smaller relative to your savings. And one day, you check your account on the 15th, and there's not $47. There's $2,000, and paycheck to paycheck becomes a memory. Let's bring it all together. Step 1. Pull your last 60 days of transactions and get honest about what's actually happening with your money. Step 2. Find the one category running over and cut it in half for 60 days only. Step 3. Use those savings to build a $500 buffer in a separate account. Don't touch it for anything except genuine, unexpected expenses. Step 4. Automate a monthly transfer to keep building that buffer toward a real emergency fund, even if it's just $50 a month. Step 5. When life hits the buffer, rebuild it the next month and keep going. One setback doesn't restart the cycle unless you let it. The paycheck to paycheck cycle isn't about what you earn. It's about the gap between what comes in and what goes out. And more importantly, whether you have any buffer to absorb the unexpected. Build the buffer, protect the buffer, everything else follows. If this video helped, please subscribe. New videos every week on making your money actually work for you. If you haven't watched the first 2 videos in this series yet, start with why you're always broke. It explains exactly why most people end up in this cycle in the first place. And then watch the 50-30-20 video to set up the budget that makes all of this easier. Both are linked right here. See you in the next one.